In this video I want to cover looking at what's involved in setting up a regular map for this game. So first of all, to get things up and running, obviously you need to install the editor, and once that's done you need to create a mod. Now everything you need to know is going to be in this wiki, which is available, which you'll be given access to once you've requested access to the tools. Setting up your mod is in here. All of the details you need to know are in the wiki. It's pretty straightforward, but do make sure you follow the details down here. These are pretty important, this mod info stuff, and the scenario file as well. And what that does in the editor is it will create a special folder for your mod down here. So if you at the top here, this is all the content for the game. So this is everything that comes with the Anacrusis, so all of the environment stuff and all that is in here. So all the meshes and materials that make up the different areas of the game. But further down, so that's everything that's with the game, and then further down is where your mod folder is going to be. This is where your maps files will be. But if you look at the highest level, there's two extra files you need to create. These are, you need to follow the guide really carefully and make sure these are set up properly. So there is the game info, the mod info piece, which basically is, this is going to get sent over to Steam Workshop and just has kind of details of what the mod is and the tagline, and then the scenario gives you a lot more information about what type of map it is, what are the survivors that are going to be involved, what style of, is it a holdout, is it a campaign. You do need to drag and drop your map files into this. This threw me. I didn't add my map files first of all. I just added the map name, but actually you need to sort of drag and drop your map file in here when you're ready. And if there are 4 maps, all of them need to be in this sort of drag and dropped into this game info area, into the scenario file even. And then also really key is this field here. I left this blank and this kept throwing errors, so you need to make sure this scenario ID field is filled out. That was a problem. Okay, then so once you've got those files done, that's kind of your shell here. So if you were doing no custom content at all, these 3 folders wouldn't be there. You just have maps and then these 2 elements here. So that's kind of your working area, if you like, of where you're going to prepare everything for your mod and what's going to get sent. Now, coming back to the actual file itself, running one of these levels, play the game, get used to it, and what you'll notice is in a regular campaign you start off in an airlock, and each level starts and ends in an airlock, right? Like this. If I take away the game elements, you can see this pretty much just looks like how it is in game, and then I add it back and here's all the bits and pieces. Now what's good to know is you don't have to worry about adding all of these different elements. There's some blueprints and stuff that are already pre-done for you that make all this happen. Anyway, so but you need one of those at the beginning, you will need one of those at the end of your level. So if I zoom over here, essentially what I've got is this pathway running, you know, through these canyons with lots of foliage and things like that, and then that canyon continues with some side paths and stuff, and then it ends in another airlock here, you see. So now obviously each map starts and ends in an airlock, apart from the final map, which should start with an airlock but finish with a finale area, a big sort of crescendo fight at the end of which the campaign will end. At the moment for this campaign I've only got 1 map done, so this one. So basically what the system then does is it figures out the pathway from the beginning airlock through to the finishing airlock, and then it draws that path. So I'll show you how that appears first of all. So we're sort of showing the end result. So if I go to so this is a set of a menu which is specific to Stray Bombay that they've added. Obviously this is based on the 4.27 editor, but they've added in some plugins like this, and here what we've got is level context, and it says draw golden path. And you can see what it does is it breaks down the playable space into squares, and then it figures out the pathway from, or the optimal pathway from the opening airlock right the way through to the finishing airlock. and that golden path there you can see is drawn all the way across. If you see that yellow line and that golden path is there from start to finish, it means that the game is set up properly, and it will then spawn aliens all the way along the route, and special aliens, brutes and things like that, but also pickups, and it will find some nice spots along there, and it looks at those squares, you see that that matrix, and decides what would be a good place to put those objects and pickups and weapons and all sorts of things. So, you know, here basically I've created lots of side paths and lots of high sort of corners where the editor can, or where the director for the game can actually start to spawn objects and weapons and stuff. So it encourages the players to come and hunt and look for things. But the nice thing about mapping for these games is all of that happens automatically. You don't need to place objects, you don't need to place bad guys. The director will do all that. All you need to do is create a nice environment with a clear path from start to finish, and then set up the entities correctly so that it can draw this path. And once you're done, you've got a playable level ready to go. So it's a very quick way of building lots of complexity in something that seems very complicated in a fairly short space of time, which is what really appeals to me. So that is generally how the how sort of level building goes. The actual setting up of the checkpoints, or the airlocks, the start and end and stuff like that, I will cover in the next map, or in the next video, as well as the entities you need to include to make all of that work. Thanks for listening.